In a quiet little house, where the sunbeams danced through the windows each morning, lived a little shadow named Shady. Shady wasn't like the other things in the house. He wasn't soft like the rug or hard like the floor. He was a whisper of dark on the wall, a secret shape that followed a little boy named Leo wherever he went. When Leo stood up, Shady stood up, becoming tall and thin. When Leo sat down to play, Shady became a small, dark puddle on the floor. He was Leo's silent friend, his very own moving picture. Shady was very good at his job. He could be long and stretched out, or short and bunched up. He was an expert at copying everything Leo did. If Leo wiggled his fingers, Shady wiggled his shadowy fingers right back. But one morning, as the sun poured golden light into Leo's room, Shady felt a little bit plain. He looked at himself, spread out on the colorful patchwork quilt. He was just black. A deep, dark, flat black. The quilt had squares of bright red, sunny yellow, and sleepy blue. The toy box was a cheerful green. Leo's little boots by the door were a bright, fire engine red. Everything in the room had a color. A happy, exciting, wonderful color. Everything except Shady. A little sigh seemed to ripple through his shadowy shape. He didn't want to be a different thing. He loved being a shadow. He just wished for one single day that he could borrow a color, just to see what it felt like. He wanted to feel what it was like to be as blue as the sky or as yellow as a buttercup. He wiggled with a new idea. Maybe he could. Maybe his talent for copying and stretching could help him borrow a color, just for a little while. This was a very creative idea for a little shadow, and it made him feel a little fizz of excitement. Soon Leo began to stir. He yawned a big, wide yawn, and Shady yawned a big, wide, silent yawn right beside him on the pillow. Leo stretched his arms up to the ceiling, and Shady's arms became incredibly long, an elongated stretch that reached all the way up the wall. The adventure was about to begin. Shady felt a happy little flutter. Today would be the day he tried to borrow a color. Leo hopped out of bed, his bare feet making a soft pat-pat-pat sound on the wooden floor. Shady silently hopped off the bed with him, landing as a dark shape on the floorboards. First, Leo went to his big toy basket in the corner of the room. He rummaged around, making the toys clatter and click. Shady watched, his shape wobbling with anticipation. What would Leo choose? Leo's hands found it. A big, round, wonderfully bouncy ball. And it was the most beautiful blue Shady had ever seen. It was the blue of a clear summer sky, the blue of the deep, quiet ocean. It was a calm and happy blue. Leo held the ball in his hands, and Shady, attached to Leo's feet, looked at the ball's perfect, round, blue shadow on the floor. But Shady didn't want to be the ball's shadow. He wanted to be the ball's color. With all his might, Shady focused. He thought about the color blue. He thought about coolness and quietness. Leo sat on the floor to play, and the blue ball rolled just a little way away, stopping right at the edge of where Shady's shadowy hand lay on the rug. This was his chance. Very, very carefully, Shady wiggled his shadow fingers forward. He stretched them just a tiny bit until the very tip of his shadow touched the bright blue surface of the ball. And then something magical happened. A soft, cool feeling spread through him. It started at his fingertips and washed all the way through his shadowy body. He looked down at himself. He wasn't just black anymore. He was tinted. A beautiful, see-through layer of blue now swirled within his darkness. He was a deep, midnight blue, like the sky just after the sun has gone to bed. He was still a shadow, but now he was a blue-tinted shadow. It felt wonderful. It felt calm and peaceful. Shady stretched and swayed, a new color he had played. He did a happy little wiggle dance on the floor, copying Leo, who is now rolling the ball back and forth. The blue felt so lovely. He had done it. His creative idea had worked. He had borrowed a color. But what other colors were there to find in the house? Shady was filled with a new curiosity. After a few more rolls of the big blue ball, Leo's tummy rumbled. Breakfast time. Leo stood up and headed out of his room, and Shady, his new blue-tinted self, glided right along with him. They went down the hallway, Shady sliding along the wall, a moving patch of deep, dark blue. He felt so special, so different. They arrived in the kitchen. The room was full of morning light and delicious smells. Leo's mom was making toast, and on the big wooden table was a bowl of fruit. In that bowl was the sunniest, happiest color Shady had ever seen. It was a banana, and it was a perfect, brilliant yellow. The yellow was so bright it seemed to hum with happiness. It was the yellow of dandelions in the grass, of baby chicks, of the warm sun itself. Shady, with his cool blue tint, suddenly longed to feel that warmth. He wanted to borrow the happy yellow color, too. But how? The banana was high up on the table, and Leo was sitting in a chair, not quite close enough. Leo reached for the banana. His mom peeled it for him, the bright yellow peel curling downwards. Leo took a big bite. Shady watched from the floor, connected to the legs of Leo's chair. He saw the peel, discarded on the table, glowing like a little ray of sunshine. He needed to reach it. He thought hard. He was a shadow. He could stretch. He could become long. He used all his shadow power. He began to stretch his shape upwards from the chair legs. He became a long, thin, elongated line of dark blue shadow. Up, up, up the leg of the table he climbed, his shape getting skinnier and skinnier as he stretched. It was hard work, but he was determined. He reached the tabletop, a flat, blue-tinted shape, and then he crept slowly, carefully, across the wood grain. He was almost there. With one final, tiny stretch, his shadowy hand touched the edge of the bright yellow peel. Whoosh! A wave of warmth and happiness washed over him. It felt like a little giggle, a sunny, cheerful feeling that tickled him from his shadow head to his shadow toes. He looked at his form, spread out on the table. The calm blue was still there, but now, a bright, sunny yellow was swirling with it. He was a beautiful mix of blue and yellow. In some places where the colors mixed, he even saw a hint of leafy green. It was amazing. He could be more than one color at once. Shady stretched and swayed, a new color he had made. He felt so proud of his clever, creative idea. Borrowing colors was the best game ever. He slid back down the table leg, a puddle of blue and yellow and green on the kitchen floor, and waited for Leo's next move. Would there be another color he could find? A new feeling he could borrow? After breakfast, Leo put on his little boots. And what color were they? They were red. A bright, exciting, look-at-me red. The red of a juicy apple, the red of a fire engine, the red of a ripe strawberry. It was a color full of energy and fun. Shady, a mix of cool blue and happy yellow, was fascinated by this powerful new color. Leo wanted to go outside into the garden. By the back door, there was a small red watering can just his size. Leo picked it up. "Time to water the flowers," Leo's mom said. Leo marched to the door, and Shady marched right along with him, his shape copying Leo's every step. He was a shadow, and copying was what he did best. He copied the way Leo held the watering can. He copied the way Leo's boots stomped on the mat. He stayed right with Leo, a swirl of blue and yellow moving across the floor. Outside, the world was bright. The grass was green, the sky was blue, and the flowers in the garden were a rainbow of colors. Leo walked to the water tap, holding his little red watering can. Shady stayed right at his feet, a strange, greenish-blue patch on the sunny green grass. Leo filled the can with water. Swish, swoosh, splash. The can was heavy now. Leo carefully carried it towards a pot of flowers. As he walked, the little red watering can swung gently by his side. It swung closer and closer to the ground, closer and closer to Shady. Shady held his breath. He didn't even need to stretch this time. He just had to wait. The can swung a little lower. Closer, closer, a little more, a little more.
Tap.
The bottom of the red watering can gently touch Shady.
Fizz. Pop. Wow.
A jolt of pure energy zipped through him. It was not calm like blue or giggly like yellow. Red felt like a drumbeat, like running fast, like shouting for joy. It was a bold, strong, exciting feeling. Now he had all three colors. Swirls of brave red joined the calm blue and the happy yellow in his shadowy form. He was a walking, moving, living rainbow of dark, rich colors. He was a blue-yellow-red tinted shadow, and he felt absolutely magnificent. Shady stretched and swayed. What a rainbow he had made. Leo started to water the flowers. He tipped the little red can, and a shower of water sprinkled down. Shady, at his feet, danced a little jig. He had done it. He had borrowed 3 of the most beautiful colors in the world. He was no longer a plain, black shadow. He was a masterpiece of creativity. He was so busy admiring his new colors that he didn't notice a little puddle forming on the stone path from the watering can strips. As Leo stepped aside, Shady glided right over the puddle. And for the first time, he saw his reflection.
He stopped.
He stared. In the little puddle mirror, a shape stared back at him.
It was his shape, yes.
But the colors, they weren't quite right. He had imagined he would look like a beautiful, striped rainbow. But in the reflection, the blue, yellow, and red had all mixed together. They had become a murky, brownish, purplish, dark muddle. He didn't look calm or happy or exciting. He just looked messy. A little shiver of surprise went through him. This wasn't what he had expected at all. The colors were beautiful on the ball, the banana, and the watering can. But all mixed up together on him, they just hid his special shadowness. He couldn't see his crisp, clear outline anymore. He wasn't a sharp, perfect copy of Leo. He was just a blurry, colorful blob. This was the twist. This was the surprise. Borrowing the colors hadn't made him more beautiful. It had made him less himself. As the sun began to climb higher in the sky, it grew warmer. And a strange thing began to happen. The colors he had borrowed started to feel faint. The powerful, fizzy feeling of red began to fade away, as if floating off into the warm air. Then, the happy, giggly warmth of yellow started to get softer and softer, melting away like butter in the sun. And finally, the cool, calm feeling of blue grew paler and paler, until it was just a memory. Shady looked at his reflection in the puddle again. The murky splotches were gone. He was back to his old self. A deep, dark, clear black. He saw his perfect outline, a perfect copy of Leo standing beside the flower pot. He could see his sharp shadow fingers and his neat shadow feet. He was crisp. He was clear. He was beautiful. He realized that his job wasn't to be colorful. His job was to be the best shadow he could be. His creativity wasn't for borrowing colors, but for all the amazing ways he could change his shape. His special trick was his ability to be elongated and tall or small and round. His magic was in his perfect, silent art of copying. Being a shadow was a very important job, and he was the only one who could do it for Leo. A feeling of deep happiness spread through him. It was a better feeling than the blue, yellow, and red all put together. It was the feeling of being perfectly, wonderfully himself. The rest of the day was the best Shady had ever had. He played with Leo in the garden, making the most amazing shapes. When Leo ran, he made his shadow legs look extra long and speedy. When Leo jumped, he made his shadow shape fly for a second before landing perfectly. He wasn't just a plain shadow anymore. He was Shady, Leo's amazing, creative, and very best shadow friend. As the afternoon sun began to dip towards the horizon, the shadows grew longer. Shady became a giant, stretching all the way across the lawn. He had never felt so grand. When it was time to go inside, he followed Leo up to his room. As Leo got ready for bed, Shady got ready for bed, too, settling into his familiar spot on the wall. He watched as the moon began to glow outside the window. He was his own color, the color of the night sky, the color of quiet and rest. And he had never loved it more. He knew he would never forget his adventure with the colors. It was fun to borrow them, but it was even better to be himself. As Leo drifted off to sleep, Shady lay quietly beside him. He was excited for tomorrow. Tomorrow was a new day, and Shady wondered what amazing shapes would he get to make if Leo went to the playground, where the big, twisty slide and the high, swingy swings were waiting. A whole new world of light and shapes was out there, and Shady, the creative shadow, was ready to play. Moral: it's wonderful to be creative and admire the beauty in others, but the greatest happiness comes from loving who you are.